Hello, everyone. This is Senior Investigator Ed Myron with Underwater CSI International Revealed.
And I'm
And
Senior Investigator Rich Morin.
how you doing, Rich?
Doing well, Eddie. Nice to see you again, bud.
Good to see you too. How's the weather there?
It's cold.
Yeah,
Yep, cold. Miserable today. Actually, the
yeah,
last few days, quite a few days.
yeah. Now, when you say it's cold, how cold?
79. No, that's when I was living in the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly.
It was funny when we were living there on the island of St. Croix. I remember one time it got down to like 72 degrees, and people were walking around with parkas, knit hats, gloves, winter boots, just
Well, yeah,
freezing.
well,
You know,
yeah.
72 degrees, because very seldom did we ever get that cold.
Right,
Most
right.
of the time it was 80, 82, 84 degrees, most time on an average. In the summertime, it was more 90-ish.
Yeah.
But
N-
the
So,
great thing was the water temperature always stayed between 80 and 84 degrees.
yeah,
Yeah, even at 100 feet, it was still like 78. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
little
you were
chilly.
there, you saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
loved it.
experienced it.
Yep, loved it.
Yep. That's going to be
So,
a little bit different than what we're going to talk about tonight.
yeah, that's what I was getting at. So, really, what's the temperature?
Temperatures in the low 20s right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because here in upstate New York, the water, the lakes are starting to freeze over. Let's see, this morning it was 20 and the wind chill was 4. So, yeah. Ooh,
Well, just
r-
so you know, I left the dog's water bowl outside. They have a couple water bowls, and the one that was outside, I left it outside last night. It was frozen this morning,
yeah, yeah.
so
So,
it does get cold here.
yeah. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today is we're not going to do a regular episode. Today we're going to be, discussing some of our adventures. Um, and
That's what we're calling them.
Yeah, sure. Some some of the some of the fun things that we did along with the recoveries and things like that. But we're really going to concentrate on is the ice diving portion of it, and then the next show we're going to kind of cover the details of ice diving, the safety aspect of things, and you know how you go about how we go about um, performing a ice diving class and what it takes for a team to put on an ice diving class and certify ice divers. So,
Yeah, and just so the audience knows, I know we had talked about we were going to do a two-part episode on the Ethan Allen.
yeah,
The reason we're going to delay that is because I am having a little bit of a challenge getting some of the FOIA requests fulfilled, even though by law they're supposed to fulfill them within a certain amount of time. New York State Police, and I contacted them now. I mean, it's been months, and normally within a couple of weeks, I usually have the material. And I contacted them months ago with the FOIA request, which is Freedom of Information Act or Freedom of Information Law. So some people call it FOIL and some people call it FOIA. But the response I got back from them was, "Oh, well, we're not going to be able to fulfill this until April 2nd."
mm,
And it's a very important document that I need, or a report, not a document, but a report that I need from them. And then I'm having even more of an issue with the National Transportation Safety Board. They are just giving me a runaround. Nobody wants to answer the phone. Nobody wants to, I submitted it by email,
right,
and it came back and said, "Oh, there's an issue." And, the thing is, they just want you to do everything online, research it online, don't
right,
contact us, don't bother us, and,
right. Don't right,
that type of thing. The problem is, yes, the Ethan Allen information is online on their site, but not what I need. I
right,
need the reports that enabled them to come up with their final conclusions.
right.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for certain documentation that I know was turned into them.
Sure.
All right, because I'm already getting um, uh, what do I want to say? I'm already getting
You're
from
already
other
getting
from
the
other
other
agencies,
information.
yeah,
Right,
that they had turned it over to the NTSB. So I know they've
right.
got it.
Right.
but it's not. I mean, I've gone through hundreds and hundreds. I mean, probably thousands of pages with the NTSB online looking for specifics, and it's not there. Even though I know they had it, and it wouldn't be there because it's not in their final report. But I'm looking for certain things, quite a
Right.
few things actually. So we apologize about that, but I want to make sure that we've got all the information and all the accurate information, and there's a little bit of a cover up, and there's already some controversy, with some of the reports, that I've been reading,
Right.
and stuff like that. Just a kudos to Warren County Sheriff's Department in Warren County, New York, upstate New York. They were very quick at responding. Now, even though I didn't get stuff that I needed and everything from them, what they had, I got very quickly, and a big shout out to the sheriff up there, Jimmy LaFar, um, because Jimmy made sure that I got volumes and volumes of documentation. I mean, hundreds of pages. So I've gone through all that. I've made all my notes, etc. And we're just waiting now on the NTSB and the New York State Police.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah. So once we get that information put together, we'll put together that two-part episode and get that out there. But in the
yeah, and this
meantime,
year, October 2nd, this marks the 20th anniversary
wow,
of the
I
sinking
can't
of the
believe it's
Ethan.
that
20
long.
years already. Just crazy,
Yeah,
crazy,
that's
crazy.
amazing. Sh-
How fast time flies.
Yeah.
But
So
so tonight, what we're going to do is pull up some random photos and just share a few stories with people instead of going through a full episode. Maybe have a little fun with it. I know some of the photos, aren't going to be funny at all, but we have a few that'll lead to some good stories.
yeah, that's for
But one
sure.
of the way we keep our sanity is we gotta clown around once in a while because we deal
Exactly.
with a lot of nasty stuff, a lot of nasty scenes and everything.
Right. And that's one of the, main reasons for this show today is to kind of show the lighter side of things, right? Just like you said, to
On
keep
some of the photos, yeah,
yeah, but to keep
yeah.
our
I mean,
sanity and
yep,
uh in some of those experiences, right? So
yep.
all right, let me I'll go ahead and share the screen and pull up the first photo.
Ah.
Oh, there we are. Oh, there I am.
Ed, you look like you're out there with no friends.
Yeah, I'm out there with no friends,
Actually, we got a full team out there.
right? And this is well, why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about um what we were doing and how long we were out there, and then I'll
This was
kind
right
of
up by the Canadian border. We
right,
had a Ford F-250 truck that went through. It was a contractor's truck, so it had big rack on the back and ladders and skipjacks on it, and he had a generator in there, and he had all his power tool. I mean, the thing was loaded
right. You had a
with
brake. You also had an aluminum brake in there as
oh
well.
yeah,
Yep.
yep. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. And on this particular lake, it's quite long, and to drive around it, it takes a good part of an hour, maybe more, to go around. And then in the winter months, a lot of the roads aren't plowed up there because they're just summer homes that are on the lake.
Right.
And so he had two jobs that he was working on, one, on one end of the lake and the other on the other end. And so he decided that, what, rather than drive all the way around, I'm running late, I'm just going to zip down the lake. And the lake gets narrow in this one spot, and it kind of acts like a river. There's a lot of water flow underneath, and he was hauling. And the problem is, he starts pushing the ice towards the ice, kind of forms like a wave in front of him. And then what happens was the ice breaks and down the truck goes.
Right.
Yeah. So the problem with this is we had no place to egress the truck to get it out because there
Right.
weren't any roads. There weren't any plowed roads right behind you, those woods right there. The
Yep.
closest house is all the way down at that furthest point,
Yeah. See.
around that point, and
Right here.
down probably about another quarter mile or so. So it was at least it was longer than a quarter mile. We had to go at least a mile under the ice,
Yeah.
pulling this truck every 50 feet. We basically cut a threader hole, and we'll talk about that on another time. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
slid the the truck under the ice like that. But we were out there for 2 full days, nonstop, no sleep, just horrific conditions because the wind was howling. I think it was about 40 below zero, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
If you look at Ed's hand on his right hand, you can see the ice just hanging off of his glove.
Yeah. And
That's
you
because
can,
Ed doesn't do a whole lot of work.
yeah, right.
Otherwise the ice would be.
You could see here where the snow is blowing up from the
Yeah.
wind. And yeah, and then you
And
can
your
see right,
hood is actually orange
right.
and it's just all caked with ice. Your gloves are just fully caked. The
Yep.
front of your hat, you got a knit hat on, that's fully caked with ice. Everything is just iced right over.
Right.
Now these clothes that we're wearing, those are actually neoprene bibbed overalls and a neoprene jacket,
Right.
and they're quite expensive. The whole crew's got them though because if somebody, well, one, they keep us nice and warm,
Right.
but two, they, in the event that the unlikely event somebody falls in, they're gonna float pretty well. In
Right.
addition to that, we also have a life vest on
Right.
because we realize that these types of temperatures and being out there for as long as we were, um, it was going to, if somebody did accidentally fall in, it was going to be a lot easier pulling them up out of the water.
Right.
But the other thing is having that on your chest and on your back also helps insulate in your core area. So it
Right.
keeps you, I don't want to say warm, but it keeps you somewhat comfortable
Right.
on that.
Right. But you can see, how thick the ice is formed. This was right after we had cut another threader hole, and the water is, spraying up from the chainsaw,
Yep.
and you could see the thickness of the ice just uh, caked on my gloves, and um, I remember. I remember when we actually left the scene, after the whole day was over. I think how long was that road before we got back to the main highway? Remember that road
A
that
long,
yeah,
long ways. Dirt road.
yeah, and I remember it took it took almost 40 minutes for everything to thaw out, and there had to be over an inch of water on the floorboards of the truck from just the
All
ice melting
just the
off.
stuff we were wearing.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. And then that brings me up, brings me back to, remember you were saying, the neoprene, the suits keep us afloat, and so do the life jackets. So, so we're by one of these threader holes, and the team is working together. We're pulling and before I go into that,
No, no, no.
how many chainsaws and things, how many things did we go through that day? Remember, things were breaking, and
Yeah, it was so cold
it
with the
was so
wind chill
cold.
that the plastic valves on the lift bags, as soon as they got above the water, if they were touched at all, if they were banged hard at all, they just shattered.
Yeah,
And then the bag would empty. And so I mean, I don't know how many bags and these are commercial bags. These are bags that are designed for recovery work.
right,
The problem, it was just brutal conditions. So I know we had a lot of damage to the bags.
right. And I
Um,
know we went through at least one chainsaw.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
guy whose truck it was, and he survived, by the way. He got some friends, plus himself, and they showed up with chainsaws, and they're going to help us cut some holes, which is great. We just have
right,
to make sure they're in flotation devices, etc.
right,
But you know, thankfully, none of our chainsaws broke down,
right.
but they ended up actually burning out 3 chainsaws.
Yeah, I knew there was a number of chainsaws that we went through there.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
3 chainsaws,
yep,
multiple lift bags, and that's why it's important. And this was a job that was far from home, so
right,
it's not like, oh, we forgot this. Let's run back to the headquarters and
yeah,
grab some more stuff. No, we were a long ways from home,
right,
um, and so we had to make sure that we had everything that was going to be needed for it until the job was done.
right,
Pretty much,
right.
yeah. So,
Yeah, so now going back to that again now. So these
wait, wait,
threader
wait, 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 wait,
wait,
wait,
whoa,
wait.
whoa.
Let's
So
back
there's
up. Let's
there's these
back up to the
threader holes.
original when we first found the truck. We didn't
There's
even lift it yet.
there's these threader holes, okay, that we have to cut, right? And I was just saying to somebody, oh, I think it was you. Be careful. Don't step.
Well, no,
What?
you got it wrong. You got it wrong.
Of
I
course.
was given a briefing. Remember, I had everybody around and I'm given a briefing.
Yeah.
And during the safety briefing, I said, we've got to be careful of these holes, make sure that you don't step in it because it looked like a slushy on top.
Right.
Usually if you cut the hole, the top is going to stay thawed out. But the problem was the wind was
So
just
cold.
howling
Right.
and it was so cold that it looked just like a slushy.
Yeah.
It was just all that all congealed, type of ice and stuff. And so I gave the briefing and then what happened?
Then, and again, safety's an issue here. He stepped back and went into the slushy. So he now now wait. So his story and
Down I
my
went. I went
no
right underwater, completely
okay.
underwater. I've got
So
my hand up. I'm like, please, somebody pull me out. No, they're
so
stepping right over me.
so
Yeah.
so if you listen to that version, you know he's exaggerating. As soon as his little toes hit the water, I was already pulling him out of the hole. So his his boots may have gotten wet. So at his advanced age at that point, we had to bring him back to the recovery trailer
I went in
because
up to my armpits in the hole, up to
okay.
my armpits
But
because
I had him
everything
out.
flooded.
I
All my
had him out
undergarment,
so
everything flooded.
fast. It's a wonder you even got wet.
Listen, with your brittle
So
bones, you couldn't even bend over. We see how much work that you did by all the ice that was accumulated on your glove.
well, I was looking around going, what'd you guys say? Step on. No, we can't push him under.
Everybody turned around and like, what happened to Rich?
Exactly. What was the safety briefing about? The slushy hole. He's just doing a demonstration.
And at first I was like, okay, I mean, I'm wet, but not too bad. I didn't realize how much had soaked in,
Right.
but because those neoprene suits, but they're not waterproof. I mean, they got wrist seals on the wrist, but the bottom
Right.
of the jacket's not, and then inside the Farmajon. So I didn't realize how much water had rushed up underneath the jacket. So
Right.
I was thinking I could make it through the day anyway,
Yeah, that wasn't
and
happening.
no. And once I got out of the water, because I was in there about an hour, hour and a half before somebody realized I was missing. No, no, I was only in there for a few seconds, and
Exactly.
Ed was right there to pull me out once again, save my life. But anyway, so the guys pull me out, and I make a decision. I said, I got to go back into the trailer,
Recovery trailer. Yeah.
yeah, and change. I got to get some dry undergarment on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was wearing my dry suit undergarment at the time this happened.
Right.
And so as I was going through my bag, I had a lot of undergarments in there, just not a one piece undergarment that's designed for dry suits.
Right.
I am layering all kinds of fleece, individual stuff. But before that, I found a pair of long underwear, long johns. I think they were
From
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 1972,
from when you were like 12 or
about
13.
170 pounds. I put them on. They look like knickers.
Exactly.
The legs went up to my halfway up my calf, and then the top band. It would look like one of those guys that, their pants are partway down their rear ends.
Yeah.
Walking
Yeah.
around. It's kind of I'm trying to pull them up the best I can, and that was
Exactly.
about it.
Yeah.
And got all layered up and just had to finish out the 2 days and that stuff.
Exactly. Which was I know was quite annoying for you and everything. So we're coming to the end of this job and we finally got the truck all the way to the egress point.
We might do a story on this at some point and talk about the whole thing. But for
Right,
right
right.
now,
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we
we'll go to
definitely
the
should.
end of it.
Um,
Because again, it was 2 days. I mean, this is
right,
2 days, the following day.
right, right. Yeah. I mean it's dark. It's late. We hadn't
Yeah,
eaten
we've been out there
anything.
all day long.
We hadn't eaten anything. And then I think somebody uh one of the volunteers or one of the neighbor people saw what was going on because remember the one guy had to bring down his backhoe
Yeah, we didn't
to
have we really didn't have any place to egress. There were no houses, there were no
Right.
roads, no driveways, no nothing.
Right.
So the closest camp, the very first camp that we got to, we went ahead and decided they had a ramp there
Right.
for launching a boat. But again, they're gone. I mean, it's a summer camp. So
Yeah.
I mean, the snow is, I don't know, a couple of feet thick, and it was just a mess. And while there was a neighbor a couple houses down who was a year-round resident,
Right. And he
and
saw what was going on.
yeah, and he brought his tractor over. Remember, he
Yeah.
plowed the road with his
Right.
tractor,
Yep.
and then came down the hill, plowed all the way down to the boat launch, helped clean off the boat launch, etc.
Right.
And then we actually had our winch all hooked up, etc. And
Right.
we were gonna pull the truck out with our winch. And he's like, "Let me just pull it out with the tractor."
Yeah.
And it was like great.
Yeah.
So he pulled it out, brought it all the way up the hill, and I mean,
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if it was him or somebody else came back with a bunch of pizzas and everything.
Yeah,
You
him.
remember?
It was him.
That was him. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, that was the first time we've eaten in I don't know how long. And so, we had a couple slices of pizza and it's dark and we had finished cutting the large rectangle to egress the truck out of.
yeah, huge
It,
rectangle. It took us a
yeah.
lot hours to cut
Yeah,
this.
huge rectangle, and so you and I were kind of standing on the dock, and we were talking while some of the other guys were doing some of the other stuff, and one of the guys was getting the truck hooked up and things like that. So we were standing there, and as it always happens, you came up to me and I thought, oh,
Well,
I'm gonna
first
have
of all,
to.
we had some spectators.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There were some. They were either sheriffs or state police that were there. Remember for the weekend?
they're from Connecticut.
Yeah. So they were there standing on the dock. There was a bunch of other people behind us. And I mean, again, when we're doing these types of recoveries, people start seeing this stuff and people start showing up. I mean, people with their snowmobiles, you remember going by, slowing
Yeah,
down, watching what's going on. So we're standing on the dock together, and he goes, "Hey, I got a question for you." And I'm like, "Oh, here you go. I'm gonna have to bail him out again or for something. I don't know."
so
So
I go, "Hey Ed,
yeah,
you love me, right, buddy?
I said, "Of course I do.
I'm your best friend.
Absolutely.
You're mine.
Correct.
Do anything for me."
Take a bullet for you."
Appreciate it, buddy. I need you to do me a big favor.
What's that?
Can you unzip the back of my dry suit and reach all the way down in the back and grab onto my long underwear? They're down around my knees and pull them up. I said, because it's been like that since yesterday. And I says, I can barely walk and they're all down, they're all bunched up. So do me a favor and do that, will you? And your response was,
No.
but but what about all the cops that were standing there?
Yeah. And then
At first it was like, hey Ed, can you do me a favor? Yeah, yeah, what? Anything.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll
I'll
take a
take
bullet for you. These
take a
guys are
bullet.
like, you know,
Yeah, they're all. Can you reach down in
it's
there
like
and
reach
pull up?
down way and grab onto my long underwear. They're like, oh,
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, these guys are crazy." Yep. So that didn't happen. So he stayed the rest of the evening until we got back to the office before you changed back into some regular clothes. And
yeah, because
I remember remember we were going back and it was so late. We were gonna stop. We were gonna stop at we'll stop at eat at this place. That's closed. We're gonna stop and eat at this place. No, that one's closed.
yeah,
I,
everything
I,
was closed up. It
I,
was
for,
late.
I
But the other thing is, we're still in our dry suits now. The whole team's in their dry suits,
right,
and we were so frozen, and the ice was so thick, and our zippers were, just so thick with ice and everything else. We couldn't get out of our equipment.
right,
We've been in these suits now for 2 days,
right,
and some of the surface support guys has the neoprene stuff on, but still, everything's frozen on them. The guys that were in their dry suits, which were you and me and a couple of the other guys,
right,
we you know we basically had to drive home like that and let the stuff thaw out while we were in the truck on
right.
the way home. Had the heat on high and just trying to thaw out enough just so we could eventually get our suits off.
Exactly. Oh
Yeah.
man. So I mean that was again that was an adventure.
Oh yeah, good times.
Good times.
Well, when you look back at it, they were good times, you know.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, making memories and stuff. And
Yeah,
even the job, you know, the job was very long and just brutal, brutal conditions. We were all exhausted.
yeah,
But, and then people don't realize how much work is left once we get back. You
right,
know, everything's
right,
got to be unloaded and thawed out. Everything's got to be inspected.
right,
You know, like I was talking about before, we had valves that were broken that needed replacing. I mean, just BCs needed to be looked over, regs needed to be looked over. They
yep,
all also have to be, we have to decontaminate everything because of the gasoline and the oil that
right. The oil and
floats
the
up,
gas,
you know,
right.
from the vehicle itself. So,
Yep.
so it's just, you know, so we bring everything in, spread it all out, let it all thaw out. And the following morning, I mean, we've got, you know, multiple guys working
And it's
pretty much the
hours.
full day,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
hours. It's
just
hours.
fixing everything and getting it all ready for the next
The next
call.
one,
Yep.
right?
So
Yep.
that's stuff people don't see. They think we just show up and like that.
Right. And
Yep.
talking
Hey,
about the,
remember
oh, go ahead.
that one call that we got? I forget where it was. Um, Same thing was through the ice though, and the guy was going. We showed up and the guy was going crazy, and you know because we're charging him an hourly rate, so we pull the trucks in, and you know we got multiple trucks and trailers and stuff, and we're unloading the you know, and I go up to interview the guy first and find out what's
Oh,
going on.
this
Yeah,
was the
remember that?
snowmobile?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a snowmobile?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
snowmobile.
okay.
Yeah,
So
I remember it.
anyway,
Yeah.
we you know the crew's already worked. I mean they know what to do, and we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things over the years,
Right,
and
right,
so you know the back of the trailer, the doors open, the UTVs being driven out, you know an area is being plowed
right,
for a recovery area. I mean, you know, everybody's working, you know, and you know, guys are getting into their suits already, and
right.
stuff's being prepped, and you know, we've got a prep area, and so I mean, all this is happening, and this guy is just freaking out. He's going, let's go, blah, blah, blah," like this. So I'm like, all right, well, I just got to get some information from you. And he's like, all right, you know, we need to know approximately where it is, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you have any idea what the depth was out there, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, anyway, I'm talking to the guy and he's just on my case. And so he says, well, how are you going to get it out? And he's just, again, screaming, you know, you guys are getting paid by the hour. You got let's go, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
So I says, well, we're going to get it out with PFM. He's like, PFM? I said, yeah. So
So,
we walk down to the water and I go, so where do you think it is? He goes, I don't know. You know, it's right out there somewhere, you know, like we hear all the time. So I go out there and I go like this. I look, I go, rise from the bottom, you will. You know? So he's looking at me. And then, so I go, nope, that's not going to work. I said, we're
yeah,
going to have to do PFM. He goes, what's that? I go, pure F and magic.
yeah, exactly. And I remember he was so mad because when we showed, well, he when we showed up with the trailer and everything, he was like, "I'm not paying for all this. Looks like way too much." Oh my God, he was all upset because he
Yeah.
was
And then
like,
when he saw what it took,
"Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, and afterwards, and the fact that, you know, we were moving right along and, you know, we don't delay. I mean, you know, safety comes first and,
Yeah, I was the one that went in and got that. Yep,
yeah,
yep, yep.
yeah.
So
What else we got?
we got so let me share the screen. Brings up another photo here. Ho ho.
All right.
Now that
So this right
now
here, this
to the
is,
average person, that may look kind of strange.
yeah, that's actually a sonar photo. You can see in the left, it was 43.8 degrees. 16.7 feet to the bottom right there. And Ed, if you can come back to the camera again with the two of us, I want to kind of
Yep,
show. See that line going down the middle right there, and then you got the object on each side,
yep,
right
right
there.
here and
Come,
here.
yeah, go ahead and get rid of that for a second here, and we'll bring it back up.
Yep,
What that is like if I took a piece of paper and I folded it in half like this, it looks like a wing. Okay, so the line that you're seeing is the line at the bottom here.
right,
And the image that you're seeing, okay, so it's just like this now. So the image that you're seeing is on one side and it's a mirror image on the other side. So it's not like there's two things that are down there. It's one thing showing you basically a mirror image. And that's the center line that you see right there. So if you go back to it,
yep,
now some people might look at this and go, you know, what is this thing?
right,
And so if we take a look at it and if you look at the object on the right hand side, you can kind of see how it's, yeah, there's the top of it, then it slopes down, and then you got, some round things there. And pull up a picture, Ed, of what it looks like on the trailer
Yep.
after we get it out.
Sure. Let me get to that. So here it is.
There it is. So what it was laying on its side. And so now that you see what this truck looks like, imagine it on its side now. All
Right.
right. If you go back to that first picture,
Oops.
that's what it was at the surface once we got the airbags on it, but they're still underwater. All right, you can actually see the wheels.
Yep. Right here.
Okay. Yep. Actually, that's the shadow you're looking at. Yeah, there's
Yep.
the actual wheels right there. Yep, there's one right there, and there's the other one there. And then the hood itself goes up to the windshield.
Yep.
And so once you learn how to read these, I mean, that's a nice crystal clear picture right there. Once you learn how to read these, it's pretty easy.
Yep.
Um, as far as that goes.
And there it is.
Yep. And there it is.
And then this is what it was.
Yep. That's once we brought it to the surface, but it's
Surface.
still under the ice. And
Right.
like I said before, the air temperature was 46 degrees, I think. So it's starting to warm up. It's in the springtime. This guy thought that he could get another day ice fishing out there, but his truck ended up going through. And unfortunately, the ice wasn't strong enough for us to bring it up there. So we had to bring it to another spot. And then what we can do in a situation like this is we can cut the egress hole for it, push it under the ice. So we're
Right.
actually forming double thickness now, and then eventually bring the vehicle up on top of that.
Right.
Yep. What else we
Yep.
got?
Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Let me take a look. Oh yeah. This is interesting because again, people four-wheelers, they go through the ice as well,
Oh yeah, a
just
lot
like
of four wheelers,
snowmobiles and so
three
on.
wheelers when they're way
Three
back
wheel.
when.
Yep,
Yep.
back when. So this was and I think people will enjoy this one. It's an interesting picture. Uh it's not you hanging from the bridge,
What do you
but
got?
I'll show you here. There you go.
Oh yeah, yeah. So here's a bridge that goes across. There's a four wheeler
Right.
that's hanging in the middle there.
Right here.
And if you look up on top of the bridge, you can see the arm of a tow truck. Yeah,
Yep,
right
right
there.
here. Yep.
And what we decided was underneath the bridge, it was all open. You can see our
Yep.
dive flag right there.
Yep,
And
right
we
here.
went in from shore where this open area is here. The problem is we were going to have an issue getting this up and out because the ice would have kept breaking up along the side and it creates sharp edges and et cetera. But even once we got it up, we still have, if you look at the other side
Yeah.
of the area there, you can see how steep the bank is.
Right here. Yep.
Yeah, so you can see how
And
steep
even
the
over
bank
here,
is.
you can
Yeah,
see
so
how
just
steep it
trying to
is.
get it up there would be, a nightmare. So
Right.
we decided, you know what, it's going to be hauled off on a tow truck anyway. Let's get a boom truck out here, tow truck, and let's just pull it up over the bridge.
Yep.
And so that's what we ended up doing. You can see our heads in the water right there.
Yep. Right here.
Yep.
Yep.
There's myself, and I forget who was with me on that one,
And
but
then here's the tuna ball, and
yep,
here's the line.
yep, going out there
So
for safety.
yep.
Yep.
So yep.
So we could pull ourselves back if we needed to, or use it for additional flotation if we had a failure in our dry suit or BC or something. We could use the float ball
Right. And we're
on that.
here standing by just in case there's an issue, something falls, or something a strap breaks
Yep.
and ends up going back in. We're right here
Yep.
to recover it. So yeah,
Yep.
that
And it
was
did, it didn't look like it, but we were actually probably a good 25 feet or so away from
yeah,
it if
away
it
from it.
fell back in. Yeah.
Right.
So I
Right.
mean, we weren't even close to that.
Right. So I mean, it's so I that's one of the things being here in upstate New York, people don't realize. And again, I I remember we were doing a recovery and we were dealing with the insurance company, and you were on the phone and you were talking with somebody in the South, and the woman that you were talking with, she she didn't understand.
Oh, that was
You-
Scroon Lake, right?
Yeah, you remember
That was the job at Scroon Lake.
she was like, wait, why did the person drive their truck into the water? And you were
That was
like,
a Jeep Cherokee, right?
yes, the Jeep. Yep. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
right. And you were like, no, you can't drive it into the lake. Well, I don't understand. What
She was
was
in
it?
Georgia.
Right. And she
Yeah,
couldn't
southern
understand.
Georgia.
She couldn't understand that. Wait a minute. You're saying that the lake is frozen? She, she just couldn't comprehend it.
No. And the problem was, and this is an insurance company that we normally did not deal with.
Right.
Um, they've got might have a little mascot, kind of looks like a little lizard there that goes around, but um, just hey, 24 hours, yeah, yeah. But guess what? There's no claims adjusters that were working on the weekends.
Right.
So if you had something happen on a Saturday morning, guess what? You're in trouble till Monday.
Right.
But the problem that we run into is um, once it's reported, you have to be making a effort to get it out of there. I mean,
Correct.
you gotta be out there and busting yourself in order to try to get these things out of the water. The
Right.
other thing is because of the watershed in that area right there, the Adirondack watershed up there, um, gas and oil is a no-no.
Right.
Anything that spills out of it, it's all got to be boomed and it's got to be collected and it's got to
Right.
be, a lot of cases we worked with a company that dealt in hazardous waste
Right.
cleanup.
Right.
And so this would be considered a hazmat area, if it came to that. And so we got the phone call and the problem was this kid was a punk. He was just a punk and he took his sister's Jeep Cherokee without permission.
Yeah.
She didn't press charges, but she should have. And then he went for a joyride with some of his buddies. They went out there to do donuts and stuff and ended up crashing through. And you remember when we first showed up? I mean, it was miserable again. It was cold and
Yeah.
rain, or not rainy, but snow blowing and just miserable conditions.
Yep.
And he was like, well, he was just being a real jerk about everything. And, and again, everybody was okay on this. Everyone got out. But this kid was, oh, we're going to get a brand new vehicle out of this. They're going to give us a brand new vehicle.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
I said,
Exactly.
what they're going to do is they're going to give you a certain value of what the truck was worth prior to it going through the ice. I said,
Yeah.
nah, they're not going to give you any more. I said, probably a substantial amount less
Yeah.
than that. And oh no, 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 they're gonna give us a brand new vehicle. I go,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And then after we saw the condition of the vehicle to begin with, it was like you'd be lucky if you get $1,000 out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Uh,
was bad.
and the
And I,
sister was just so upset because it was
right.
her only means of transportation.
Right.
He took it, without permission, et cetera, and took his buddies for a joyride. But
And I remember DEC telling him to calm down because he was getting kind of belligerent with us and oh, I can get my buddies
and
to get
DEC
this
is
out.
Department of Environmental Conservation,
Right.
and they have like more authority than the governor up
Yeah.
there when it comes to the environment up there. It's just
Right.
amazing how much power that they have and the fines that they can
Levy. Yep.
place on people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm on the phone with
The
this one
insurance
insurance
company.
company, and I just could not get this lady to. All I wanted to do was talk to a claims adjuster to
Right.
get a number to make sure that one, they have insurance, and the other is to get a claim number so that
Right.
we can start this job.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone for a long time. And
Oh
then
yeah.
she finally says, well, I need, I'm not sure. I got to connect you to somebody else. So she connects to me to a guy who's in Texas. And I'm going, holy mackerel. So I'm trying to explain to him. And of course, he's like, nobody can help you until Monday. And I'm going, listen, you don't understand. The Department of Environmental Conservation officer is here right now.
Yeah.
They've got more power than anybody in the state. I said, he can levy fines that are just astronomical. And I said, and you'll be hard pressed to fight it in court and win.
Right.
Especially if he declares this as a hazardous site, hazardous waste site.
Right.
I said, what's going to cost you right now? A few $1,000s could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
if you piss this guy off. He
Yeah.
wants it out of the water. I can't do anything until I get an insurance claim on it,
Right.
claim number. Well, I can give you a number. No, I got to make sure that they have insurance.
Right.
Well, I can't give out that kind of information. I said, well, you better find somebody that can. And this went on and on and on.
Right.
And I mean, I think it was like hours, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
Well, it was well over an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before, because we were still out at the we were setting everything up. Remember, if you remember, it started to get late in the day. We were setting up the generator. We had the lights out there.
Yeah, we've been
So
out there quite a
yeah,
while now. I mean,
right. And
yeah.
we're waiting for you to give us the thumbs up to go ahead, and we're already cutting egress area. We're already looking for. We've already got a spot picked out where we're going to take it out. So
Which wasn't easy. It was going to be basically up a shoreline
right
through the trees,
through the
quite a
trees.
ways
Right.
until we finally get it up onto a road.
Right. And we had already contacted a tow truck guy who was standing by. So I mean, we had already made preparations, but
Yeah, we're ready to roll.
we're just waiting for you to give us the go ahead.
Yeah, and
You know,
I hate doing recoveries at night
yeah,
because it's just another level of hazards that we're putting on
right,
the job. Yeah,
right,
so many things can go wrong at night,
right,
because you just don't have the visibility that you would normally have.
right. And it was,
I just don't like doing recoveries, when it starts getting dark like that.
I think, if I recall correctly, I think it was after 2 a.m. in the morning
Yes.
once we got everything off the ice, and we always do another sweep out there after we did our final sweep, and when we were shutting the back gate to the recovery trailer, I think it was after 2 a.m. in the morning before
Yeah.
we were actually leaving the boat launch, um, because where they went through was right near that boat launch area, if you remember.
Yeah, it was
Um,
out. It was out quite a
oh
ways
yeah, it was
and
out
to the
quite a
right a little
ways.
bit. Yeah,
Yep, yep,
but we had to set up all the spotlights. All the tripods out there and
right,
light up the whole. I mean, we light it up so it looks like it's noontime out there,
right.
but unfortunately, underwater it's still
Dark.
dark.
Yep, yeah,
Um, but topside we were. But back to the phone call though, the DEC officer who we work with all the time. We know these guys. We work with them. They're good guys. He finally just got so fed up, and he said, "Give me the phone."
yep,
So I'm telling the guy, says, "Uh oh, the DEC officer would like to talk to you."
yeah, exactly.
So he says, "Give this guy what he needs so we can get going on this." And the guy says, "No one's going to help him until Monday." All right. He said, "I'm telling you right now, get this done." Nope. There's nobody to call. I can't do anything until Monday. Okay. This is now a hazardous waste site or hazardous dump site now,
Right,
um, or hazardous material, I should say, not
right,
site.
yep,
He said, "So I don't need to talk to you anymore." He says, "You, that's what you want to do. That's what." And the guy goes, "Well, whatever. Okay," like this.
yeah, yeah.
So he's like, "Okay, you got your first $50,000 fine." You know, I get back on the phone and I go, "You
I
screwed up so bad
I tried to tell you.
because now we have to call a hazmat company," which I
Right,
love work when those guys,
those
because
guys are great.
when they show up, basically they just stand by with all
Right,
their trucks. All
right,
right. But they stand by in case we need any assistance.
right.
So, in the same thing here, they sat in their trucks and stayed warm until 2 a.m.
But they did
Like,
bring us donuts, though, if you
yeah, they did
remember.
bring donuts. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so they show up. But what I love about them is because now technically they're taking over, they're in charge.
Right,
So we now bill them and
right,
then they go after the insurance company.
exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I love because these guys, I mean, I could go into their office on Monday and they would write me a check
Right,
on Monday.
right. It
I
was
don't have
done.
to wait 30 days plus and argue with the insurance company, especially
Right,
one that we didn't deal with a whole lot.
Right.
because they're going to try to get our bill down. But um, so I mean, these guys are getting paid a fortune. The hazmat team,
Yeah.
I mean, because they got a vacuum truck there, they got the hazmat truck and the
And
box truck and all the
all
booms
the
and
all
everything
the
else,
booms,
and
right.
which was nice because we used their booms
Yep.
instead of using ours.
Yep.
Yep. So we
Then they
used all the,
test
and they
then
were
they
like, yeah,
test
use ours. They're paying for it.
yep.
Like,
Then they test the
okay,
water and all that stuff.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah, they got to come out and test the water, and
those
but
guys
other
are
than
great.
that, they sat in their trucks the entire time.
Yeah.
We worked with these guys many, many times
Yeah.
over the years. So I mean, they
Those
knew the
guys.
kind of job that we did. So
Yeah, those guys are great.
yeah, so I mean, they didn't mind just sitting in their truck and just kind of staying warm and and watching us. And again, we had the whole area all lit up out there, so they could
Yeah.
see what we were
And
doing.
it was safe. We had them in flotation devices and everything. So they
Yeah,
were,
when they came out on the ice to
yeah.
do
I
their
mean,
inspection.
yeah, because we had worked with them before. I mean, they were super comfortable with us. They didn't have any issues or anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had everything cleaned up, all the booms, everything else. I mean, so any gas or oil, which there was some, there always is, but
Yeah.
it's all gets sucked up into the booms, and so
Yeah.
the nice thing was they took that away for us too, so we didn't have to dispose of that.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
saved us some money on top of that. But I got a call not on Monday from the insurance company. They didn't call till Wednesday, right? And I got a call from an insurance adjuster. Hey, I heard you called. What's up? And I said, what's up? I said, I called you Saturday morning. What's up? And I said, hey, we're available 24 hours, a day,
Yeah.
seven
Yeah.
days a week. I said, except you can't get anybody on the weekends. And he's like, well, that's just the way it is. I says, well, something's got to change because you guys, instead of paying, a few $1,000s to get this job done, it's probably going to cost you well over 100 grand now.
Yeah.
He's like, what? He couldn't believe it. He's like, what? And I says, I told everybody that we talked to, told the girl in Georgia, told the guy in Texas. I said, nobody seemed to care. And I said, once the Department of Environmental Conservation gets involved, they got these huge fines they levy
Yep.
and stuff. And I forgot what it came out to, but I want to say it was, close to $150,000.
Yeah. And like you said before, the good thing about it was we got paid right away.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And
submitted our bill, and
yeah, and I
but
remember,
and again, our bill quadrupled because everything's got to be done different now. It's
right,
everything's got to be done as if it's a hazardous spill,
right, right.
you know.
So I
So,
mean,
it just takes so much longer now to
yeah,
do it all. But that was their problem. We were
and
there
that was
ready to
their
do it.
fault.
I mean, we could have had that. We could have had that thing out in no time.
Yep,
But now everything's got to be wrapped and boomed, and
yep,
everything's got to be cleaned up accordingly, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and inspected and water tested, and so you know
yeah.
anyway.
So we're
So I
gonna,
don't think that guy got a new truck out of it.
no,
Got a cancellation notice.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and so we'll kind of end it with this one here. I'll show you the picture. Um, so here we
Or
are.
what are we looking at here, Ed? Oh,
This
this is
is
class. This is a
yeah, this is an ice diving
ice diving
class.
class.
The as you can see the triangle is starting to deteriorate a little
Yeah,
bit,
this is day 2. Yeah, you can
and
see the slush on
you
top of
see
the
the
ice because
slush. Yep.
it snowed that night and
Yeah.
everything was turning to slush.
So I mean, this is an actual class. Um, so there's you right here,
Yep.
and then a couple of the other
Students.
students there.
Yep.
So
Hey, why don't we do another show on ice diving, on the
yeah,
class itself?
right,
What it takes and, setting it all up and stuff like that. Because right now, I mean, if we look at that line, there's 3 separate lines going to the divers, or it looks like separate lines, but actually those lines all braid into one main trunk line
right,
on that. The diver on the far right, actually the diver in the middle is actually on the actual trunk line, and then the other lines are braided in.
right.
So I mean, there's no way. So we all go down together, we all come back together. So if we have a problem, we got to get pulled in, they just have one line to pull, and all three
Right.
divers come back on it.
Right.
And then my line is longer so that I can get to either diver no matter what. They if they're spread right out opposite 180 degrees from each other, I can still get to both divers
Right.
if need be. Or when we get pulled in, I can get behind the two divers and put my arms out around their shoulders and just kind of help guide them,
Right.
so that they're the first ones popping up out of the hole.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think I mentioned that at the very beginning. We're going to do that. We'll do a separate um, show on that where we're actually talking about um, ice safety and that type of thing.
Yeah. And we had one of the largest, if not the largest, certification agency for diving. I won't mention any names, but contact me and ask me about writing a updated and new version for ice diving
Right.
manual and a
Yep.
new ice diving course, basically. Because we did so much of it. We participated in a winter carnival, and so we did at least 4 to 5 weeks of ice training.
Right.
Every single week we were, putting more classes through.
Right.
And we had dive operations from all over the country that came to us for ice instructions. We put a lot of divers through ice training.
Right.
They're long weekends, and boy, it just really takes a toll on you. And to do it week after week after week after week after week, by the
Right.
time it's done, man, you're just exhausted, just
And
absolutely
in
beat.
between there, you're doing recoveries. We're doing a couple of recoveries in between there.
Yeah, we're getting called out on
We're
jobs
getting
and
called
stuff.
out,
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I mean, and I remember one weekend we were finishing a class
Yep.
and we got called for a
Yep.
recovery.
We were beat.
Yeah.
That was a Sunday.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, we
Sunday.
were all done. Yeah, we
Yep.
were all done. And
Yep.
call came in, and we had to hurry up back and unload and reload for the job, and off we went, and we were gone for hours and hours and hours for
And that was
that.
another one that we finished in the dark. That was the one right up the lake, where it kind of opened up and the guy drove off with his four-wheeler. Remember that?
Um, oh
The ice,
yes, yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, I do. North of
so
Hearthstone.
yes. So the
Yes.
ice
Yeah.
opened up.
Kramer
He,
Point.
yep, yep.
Yep.
He drove right off. And I think it was his daughter too that would just stop before she went in. I
Yeah.
think it was her on the other four
Yeah. Because
wheeler.
there were two of them. Yeah.
Right. So uh yeah, that was another job that we did. We had just finished class. We had to go back, get all the recovery gear and head out there. And we finished that. It was dark when we left.
Yeah.
It was dark. That was another one.
We had another one too that during the winter carnival, we were actually doing ice diving class, and they had an open area of open water that they were showing. They had a pro professional snowmobiler there, and he was skimming over the water. Now this was
Right.
years ago before it became kind of like everybody's doing it now,
Yeah, right.
and these. They told everybody stay off this area. This is for the professional. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, once the pro got done, all these other sleds start doing it.
Right.
And what happened was two sleds were going, one right behind the other, and the guy in front kind of was losing momentum
Yeah.
and kind of stalled out. And
And
the
he
other
went
guy
in.
had to let up on the throttle, and they both went down.
Exactly.
Remember that one?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so we
And
told
I
him you're
think
gonna
there
have
was
to.
a third one.
Yeah, there
Another
was.
one.
There was
Yeah,
three
there was
actually. Yeah,
three.
you're
There was
right. There
three.
was three.
Right.
And I didn't feel sorry for these people at all. They were told to stay off there. They knew they were just going to, hey, we're going to show up the pro at that time.
Right.
And anyway, um, so they come up and says, hey, can you guys get these out? Yeah, but we got to finish class. We can't,
Right.
we got to finish
Right.
class up and stuff like that. And then I was like, well, what do you charge? And I says, well, knowing where they are and the depth of the water and the open water and the fact that we can pull it out and get it up over the wall right there and blah blah blah. I forgot what we told them, but
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
let's just throw out a number there, $1,000 a piece.
Yeah.
Okay. "Are you kidding me? I can get somebody to do it for a case of beer and blah blah blah." And I
Yeah,
said, "Well, I
yeah,
don't drink. Ed
yeah,
doesn't drink,
yeah,
and we don't work for beer. It doesn't pay the bills."
yeah.
And so I said, "Well, I said, but the other thing is, we guarantee our work. We won't do any additional damage to your
To
machines
the sleds, right,
on it." So the one guy was like, "No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it." So all three of them, remember, all three of them said they were going to do it.
right.
And so I was like, "All right, fine. I mean, I really don't care because we're beat."
Yeah,
So anyway, the next day we get a call from two of the sled owners, and
right.
they say, "Hey, can you come up and recover our machines?" I says, "Well, what happened? You guys can get somebody to do it from the Albany area to come up and do it for a couple $100 or something,
Yeah.
a case of beer or whatever." He said, "Well, he went in to get the first sled
We
and
saw what
just
happened.
just got it to the surface, and then something happened and it tipped over and it went back down, ended up upside down, broke the guy's windshield. He got it back up again, and then I was having a hard time getting it up onto the ice, and bent the ski, and then it was they're trying to get it up over the wall, and it got dropped again, and man, it just did. He probably did $1,500, $2,000 worth of damage to the sled.
Yeah, remember remember what they were saying they were pulling it up and it rolled over and then
Yeah, yeah,
so and we did it and like you said it came out, both sleds came out. They looked like just like when they went in.
yeah.
So
Having the right gear. I mean, we have recovery racks that we would use for snowmobiles, and
right,
I mean, it's you do it enough years, you start coming up with some ideas and manufacturing some stuff.
right,
Designing and manufacturing some recovery racks for them, and
right,
stuff like that makes it a lot easier, and it doesn't do any damage
right. And
at
we had a
all.
system. I mean, we had a really good system down,
Yep.
So I mean, but I think we'll end it there and so next time, like Rich was saying, we're gonna talk more in detail about um, not only class but what it takes for to put on a ice diamond class, the safety aspect of it, the it's
Yeah, and I
like
want
you
to I want to talk about that certification agency that basically asked me if I could write a new ice diver manual for them.
right,
I want to
right,
talk about that because
yeah,
that
sure,
really gets under my skin, not in a
yeah,
good way. Just
but but like you used to say at all the ice briefings, again, we always did a briefing, and it was the night before the first class at the office. We'd bring everybody into the classroom and go through that briefing, and you always would say, "This is the safest diving," because everybody, if you remember back to that picture that we had up, um, everybody's on one line, and you have
communications. I mean,
right.
we'll go over all that,
Yeah, we'll go over all that.
but
So I think,
yeah,
and then that way, if somebody has questions or anything like that, they can go ahead and email us, and
yeah, UWCSI at Yahoo.
yep, we'll. So if you watch this and you have questions, go ahead and email us, and we'll answer them for you.
Yep. Hey, before we go, I
Yeah,
was thinking the other day, um, our our friend and captain John Carney, who
yeah,
captained the Minnehaha big giant paddle wheel boat.
yep.
I don't know how many hundreds of people they could get on this thing, but big boat. But I don't know. I was just thinking about John the other day and how much fun we used to have. I mean, we'd see John around the lake constantly, and he'd always manage to swing over and give us a toot, get on the radio and tell people, or the intercom rather, and tell the people on board, what we were doing or if we were
Yep.
doing training and stuff. And you remember that one time that I was going
During
by and
during rescue class.
we were doing high speed roll offs from the
Yep.
boat with a rescue class,
Right.
and we came up alongside it, and all I mean, this whole side of the boat was just so many people watching,
Packed with people.
and it was like, all right,
Well, because
divers.
the reason why they saw us go by, so that everybody moved to that side of the boat, right? So then when we turned around, that's when everybody was ready, right? So
Yeah.
go ahead.
And then, you know, safety divers ready. And I was like, drop zone's coming up.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, drop, drop,
Drop,
drop. And the
drop.
divers are just going off like this, on both sides of the boat, flawless.
Yeah.
And we're going the same speed as the boat,
Yep.
as the Minnehaha. And John gets on the horn, on the air horn, and it comes out, gives us a big salute,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I just thought that was the coolest thing. And the passengers just loved it.
Yep. And then the article, then it was in the paper.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
yep,
Yep.
yep,
So it was, yeah, it was really cool.
yep.
That was a great time. Matter of fact, I saw him this past summer doing, when we were doing a deep dive, over at the 100 footer. He went by, I go ahead and
Came
saluted
out and
him.
gave you the salute. Yeah,
Yep.
great, good guy. I've known John for
Yes,
a lot of years.
it's
Fellow
awesome.
instructor.
Yep.
Um, he actually just retired this past year in 2024 from the
Oh,
Minnehaha.
oh,
Yeah,
really?
or from Lake George Steamboat Company.
Yeah, we're gonna miss
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Good guy. Real
Yeah,
good guy. Wish
absolutely.
him all the best.
Yeah.
But I think John's a listener. He always gives me a thumbs up whenever we advertise the episodes,
That's
on
cool.
social media.
Good, good.
Uh, anyway,
All,
so if
all
you're
right,
out there,
man.
John,
Yeah, that's right.
salute you, buddy.
All
Yeah.
right, Rich. Well, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody listening. Make sure
Hey, and
you
don't
give us
forget to
the
to
thumbs up,
to
the
like and
likes.
share and subscribe, because that helps us out a lot.
Yep.
To get our numbers up. We're still a long ways from where we need to be in order to start doing reenactments on it. But so if you can do that and share it with other divers, let people know that we're out there, and say, hey, you can listen to these two old guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Well,
you
one
know,
old guy, you, and then
yeah,
me.
yeah,
So yeah,
and you can watch them drool while they're on screen and stuff like that. But
yeah.
anyway,
All right,
I'm
man. Well,
Senior Investigator Rich Moore, and
and
with
I'm
me as
senior.
always,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I'm senior investigator Ed Myron. Go ahead.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.